listeners may have some employees. Hey, those employees, because you're the boss, you're the CEO, they'll respect that position because they've been raised properly, but that doesn't mean they're going to follow you, right? They respect the position, but maybe not follow you. So what gets them to follow you? Their eyes and their ears. When you really break it down, like if I'm a player playing for a coach, my eyes and ears are going to tell me whether I'm going to buy into that guy or not. What I hear and what I see, do they match, or is there a disconnect? They say, yeah, you got to work hard, you got to put in extra work, and he's out golfing at 1 o'clock every day, right? The actions and words don't match.
Why do you think that is, that most people just never push themselves? Is it their upbringing? Is it their environment? Is it the confidence? Is it society? It's something I think about all the time. It's like most people just settle, and it drives me crazy.
Well, I think environment could be one, but the environment twofold. One, they may not have an example. Like, what's it look like to be successful, right? Where can I go, right? That would be number one. Number two, it's easy. It's much easier, like to not do sit-ups in the morning, to not do push-ups, to not wake up before the sun rises, to not read 2 hours. It is so easy to not do that. It's so easy to watch, to let the news consume you rather than you control it and consume what news you want to consume. There's a difference in the two, right? So I think it's a variety of a lot of things. I just think it's a big part of it is the circles we travel in, right? And it's not like, I don't think the circles are, people misdefine circles. Circles are, the reason circles are good is not what they do for you. You should make all your decisions about who you let into your circle, not based on what they do for you, but what they do to you. Big difference, big difference. My circle challenges me. My circle says, no, you haven't gone deep enough. I wouldn't use that in one of your talks. What if someone asks you about that? Can you go to greater depth about why you said that? Or are you just throwing it out there, right? So, and that's why it's incumbent upon all of us who are in this industry of trying to help others. There may be a few people in those audiences that maybe I'll try this one thing, just see what I can pick up. Like this book that I wrote, the hardest part of it was to simplify it, to make it so simple, not that people would understand it. I wanted to simplify it to the point that it was totally impossible to misunderstand what I was saying. And there's a difference in the two. And maybe because I can take some of these, no one on this call thinks they're complex philosophies or concepts, but maybe someone who hasn't been successful, they might think, oh, that's too complex, I can't do that. We'll simplify them to the point where maybe they can insert it into their lives. So, that's the fun part of doing what we do. What if we could change somebody's life? What if we could change the trajectory of somebody's life? My gosh, that's why coaching is so much fun. Now I'm just coaching from the stage.
And there was something that happened to me too, where becoming successful is one thing, but if you help someone else, it's a different level of fulfillment. And I feel like I've been on that journey ever since, where I get more fulfillment reaching back and helping people or seeing them thrive or kind of creating a story with what they do than just myself. So I think that's what makes you unique. And I feel like our academy as well. I want to talk about some of the...
Let me say something about that, because that's a great point. So many younger people, they think that this world is based on give and get. Hey, if I give enough, I'm going to get something back. Usually give and get is you give something and you get something material back, right? I think the world is about share and receive. Share all the experiences you've had, share all the knowledge you've gathered over the years. And then in return, when it's time, you'll receive something back. And it's a subtle thing. And it's not about like, all right, I gave to you, now give back to me. It doesn't work that way. The The success gods, they're looking at us every single day and they're seeing how are you utilizing that success. It's like the basketball gods. If you don't practice well, the basketball gods come down and it's the craziest turnover you've ever seen. And sometimes Doc would turn to me, and I know I'm not supposed to say this about NBA coaching because everyone thinks it's this really like major high level thinking stuff. And we do something boneheaded play that a pro player shouldn't do. And Doc will turn to me and say, hey, it's the basketball gods. I told them in practice yesterday. They didn't listen. The basketball gods got us tonight. I think the success gods get us sometimes too.
Yeah, that's huge. I love it. So I want to talk about truth, one of the words in your book. And I think this quote was interesting to me. I don't know if it might have been from Doc or maybe Brad. He said, average players want, and this is a direct correlation to entrepreneurship, which is crazy. He said, average players want to be left alone, like isolation. Good players want to be coached, and great players want to be told the truth. That's a pretty deep statement if you really think about it, because a lot of people don't like the truth because they don't have the emotional maturity and they play it off as someone attacking them. Like you said, LeBron was like, I don't care what you do to push me. I just want to get better. Can you kind of expand on that statement and talk about the power of truth? Then we'll go into the framework of truth, because I think that's powerful for all the people running teams, all the CEOs listening that have big corporations or running teams of 5 or 10 or sales teams of 50. I think it's relevant. So talk about the power of truth and what do you feel like he meant by that statement?
Well, I think there's a mental relationship game going on with this word truth. For successful people, what I found out, it is something they thrive for, that they want to hear. Or in the case of athletes, they demand from you. The best athletes actually demand the truth. For those who are the average ones, right? They don't want to hear the truth because they know it probably may be something they're not doing, right? Or something we need them to do more. So do you look at the truth as something I want to hear or something I need to hear, right? That's not explaining it real well, but hopefully you guys are getting what I'm talking about there.
Go through the framework, because that's what explained it the most to me in the book, is the be direct and to the point. You said you tried to go through every practice and game and with all the players that respected you, you tried to go through being direct and to the point, always speaking in facts and truth, speak with respect and empathy, and then allowing them to vent. Because I think thinking back when I ran a direct sales company and had a big team, when I was that way, my A players and the people that really wanted to be the best always respected that, and other people got mad. So
yeah, that's good. Well, first thing I'm going to say is I just wrote down, because I just had a failure in my mind. I didn't explain the relationship part. So I'm going to work on that tonight. So thanks for putting me on this call and embarrassing me in front of everybody. I actually stopped being embarrassed about 10 years ago. So my ears don't even turn red anymore. But so it was that was good. So what I was talking about with what you were just saying, that was it was my strategy when I had to have difficult conversations. I called them courageous conversations. Maybe I had to fire somebody when I was the vice president. So all 4 of those things that you mentioned, those were my guidelines when I went in to have that conversation with somebody. But what people, I think, really need to understand about this word truth is, like, if you think about it, how can you get to where you want to go if you don't know the truth? You know, the average people want to be left alone because they've been taught that the truth hurts. Successful people, they'll tell you that's wrong. They'll tell you that's a lie. The truth doesn't help, it hurt. It doesn't hurt, it helps. It helps you learn what you're doing well, keep doing that. What you're not doing well, stop, change, adjust, and start the next route to your success. So, for all of us, we have to make sure that, the truth needs 3 things, and we have to be willing to live in all 3 of these worlds, right? Number 1, you need to be able to live it. Number 2, you need to be able to tell it. And number 3, you need to be able to take it. And live it, I think, is the most important thing to the callers, to the listeners on this call today, on this Zoom. And what that means is, do your actions match your words? Because some of your listeners may have some employees. Hey, those employees, because you're the boss, you're the CEO, they'll respect that position because they've been raised properly, but that doesn't mean they're going to follow you, right? They respect the position, but maybe not follow you. So what gets them to follow you? Their eyes and their ears. When you really break it down, like if I'm a player playing for a coach, my eyes and ears are going to tell me whether I'm going to buy into that guy or not. What I hear and what I see, do they match? Or is there a disconnect? They say, yeah, you got to work hard, you got to put in extra work, and he's out golfing at 1 o'clock every day, right? The actions and words don't match. George Raveling, a good friend of mine, who maybe some of you who follow basketball know, he's like one of the mentors to all the great coaches in the game. And one time he said to a bunch of us coaches in a meeting, he said, you know, all you guys, you're leaders. Every now and then, turn around, see if anybody's actually following you. Because we get so wrapped up in the position, all right, and we don't execute the position. We have the position, but we don't execute it. So you got to be able to live it. You got to be able to tell it. And this is difficult for some people. That's why I had those 4 bullet points of guidelines when I had to tell hard truths, right? And by tell it, that's all about who and how. Who am I talking to? How should I talk to them? We had some players you could ream them. I mean, like just jump on them. And you know what they do? They turn around and go, oh, I got you, coach. I'll do that. You actually were more upset that they weren't upset for what you were upset about them for, right? They just walked away. We had one 7-footer if you got on him really hard, he became 5'5". Because he could, as Jack Nicholson said, he couldn't handle the truth. So you have to talk to him differently. So you got to be able to live it, you got to be able to tell it, and you got to be able to take it. And if all of us want to get to where we want to go, we have to have a truth teller in our life. Somebody who's willing, like Wendy, my wife, who's somewhere in the house right now, she is one of my truth tellers. She's not afraid to trust me. She is not afraid to tell me, hey, you went too long here, or you said this, you should have said it this way, or that's not a good word, or maybe my grammar was wrong. And then she'll tell me the truth just in life things too. So, but I think if any of us want to be successful, that's the single most important word in all of success.
I think that relates to the question prior about society settles so easily. I don't think a lot of people have real truth tellers that hold them to the highest standards. So that's a big game changer for you guys listening. I hope you really conceptualize that. I want to dive in, Kevin, to the elite. I never forgot some of the conversations we've had in the past and the last call. I want to share with our watchers and listeners and everyone wanting to become better, because it's the best way to live is maximizing who you are as a human. What do you think? I want you to give me 3 to 5 separators, maybe tactics, maybe mentalities of how in the world there's the Garnetts, the Kobes, the Jordans, the Magics, the LeBrons, the Birds, and everybody else. What do these players do? Because I know it's not pure talent, because there's other talented players that have massive athleticism and they're the number 1 pick in the draft and you never hear from them again. So I know it's not just athleticism. So what the heck is the difference when you're around these people, like face to face, when you're watching, when you're dissecting who they are and what they think about? What separates the 1% and the best from everybody else? Not just basketball. We'll talk about basketball, but this, I think, equals everything in life. Can you share some of those things? Because I think that's a powerful thing to understand.
Well, of those names you named that I've been around, they have an unbridled, they're not afraid to say it, passion for what they do. They can't wait to wake up every morning and start doing it again. So, but they also understand that passion can only take people so far, right? So you may have some young entrepreneurs, which you do on this Zoom today. So your passion for entrepreneurship is so high, but maybe your knowledge is a little bit behind. The magic of a career happens when your knowledge catches up with your passion. So that leads me to number 2. These guys they have a curiosity gene in them. They want to know everything they possibly can know or find out to make them better. You know, a lot of people don't know this about Kobe, but when he knew towards the end of his career and he was going to go into what he went into, he would cold call people. Steven Spielberg, right? He would cold call Ariana Huffington. Now, his cold call will be answered. Maybe all of ours may not be answered by all of them, but it's worth trying. And maybe you have the lower level Steven Spielberg. Phil Jackson told Kobe during his playing career he should try and find a way to call up Michael Jackson, the singer, because Michael Jackson was so detail oriented in putting his shows on, to the point of where he pointed his toe and whether everyone in his dance unit was together and in unison. It's incredible. There's some documentaries out about that. So that would be number two, their thirst for knowledge about their craft. Number three, they were very intentional about each and every day. And I'll give you my definition of intentional. It goes like this: what you do on purpose to fulfill your purpose. That's being intentional, right? So whatever it is you do each day, what are you doing on purpose to be the best at that? It could be a new drill for Kobe, right? It could be different footwork that he saw. For Kevin Garnett, it could be a different diet that he goes on, right? So there's a passion, there's a thirst for knowledge, there's being intentional, not having intentions. Big difference between having an intention and being intentional. Having intentions is, the way I explain it is, it's in your mind and you will get to it. Intentional is front of mind and I will do it. There's a difference in the two. So they were very intentional. Whatever number we're on, 3, 4? Yeah. Number 4, because you asked me 5, like you're hard to do this with, because like you keep track of the numbers too. So I see you writing down 4 and 5. So I'm a number 4. So here's the deal. We've all been lied to. We've been told that if you work hard, you get anywhere you want to go in life. No, it's too competitive now. There's too many entrepreneurs out there. There's too many people who want to talk about success. There's too many people who want to walk up on stages. Working hard is the price of admission. It allows you in the door to be having the great fortune of being in that occupation, right? So if that's the given, what's the separator? The separator is all the unrequired work you're willing to do. Those guys did it. If you ask Kobe, why is he Kobe? He would tell you, just like he did in his ESPYs award speech, he would say, I'm up on the stage because of 4:30 a.m. Because that's when he started his first of 3 workouts in the off season. The average players did 1 workout. The good players, they probably did 2 most days. Kobe, because he started at 4:30, he got 3 in. That's why he's in the 1% group of NBA players. He's a 1%er. He figured it out. As you add up all those 17, 18 years of playing, and I have 2 workouts per day in my off season over all these other guys, why do you think I'm here, right? It's not by magic. And I guess maybe the 5th one.
I love that you're thinking about it too. I love that.
It's
thinking about the conversations and
yeah. 2 things pop out. One is the standards that they put on themselves. And we simply define this as what you're willing to live up to each day or what you're willing to dip down to each day. Your choice, players. Choice. So it would either be standards or, gosh, I mean, they're so accountable. But the other word that popped in was a commitment. They were fully committed in their investment, right? And we hear, and maybe even some of your younger entrepreneurs, unfortunately, I think they get a bad rap. They're they've been told, oh, they're entitled, right? All young people are entitled. I don't necessarily agree with that. I don't even do this millennial thing. I know it's out there in the books and all that. To me, it's not a millennial. It's that person sitting across from me. How can I get into their heart? Because if I can get into their heart, I'll be able to get into their head. So what I'm getting at is this. You have to figure out, if you want to be successful, You can't live in the world of entitlement. Yeah, you have to start to understand the power of investment. And they invested in phone calls to people to find out how to do things better. They invested in, LeBron spent over $1 million just on his body.
Yep.
To keep his body sharp, right? And I'll say this in general, just for anyone who maybe has a team that they're leading. You can say this to your group, especially if it's a younger team. Teams of entitlement never win titles, ever. If you have a bunch of entitled employees, if it's 4, 3, 17, you can't get to where you want to go.
Hey, what's up? And thank you for watching this video. If you enjoy this video and this content, make sure you hit the subscribe button below, put the notifications on, and I assure you, you'll love this content and these videos.